Hey everyone, in three, two, one. Hey everyone, welcome to Creative Scales. This is Ross. So I hope you had a wonderful night, and I'm going to give you a lot. So we're going to do some things. Oh, let's take this welcome out. There we go. Had some little technical difficulties. But welcome to Creative Scales. This is Ross. This is a different experience for me. I welcome a lot of the patrons. Subscribe if you have the opportunity to subscribe to the patron. Um, we also thank OBS and Caster for helping us to produce a lot of the contents that you will see that's positive here on Facebook as well as um, YouTube. What you would probably have seen on my Facebook thing, and I'm gonna say now that this particular subject lesson is in honor of a lot of people that had passed away, as well as of this month of April. Two of them mentioned a best friend I had for years named Deborah May, and my cousin Fonzie. His real name Afonso, but we dedicate this to all who have passed, and God bless the families and everyone else. Moving along, I welcome to Creative Scales. This is a restart. Um, Production that I'm doing. If it's different on Facebook, we will have that adjusted as soon as possible. But on YouTube, it will have the credits and some errors that I have I have done. Um, this is just a little brief thing to go to help us out here. So bear with me. Try to put everything in its proper perspective. All right, so once again, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about just very brief what you to expect for creative scales, and this will be on my Facebook and YouTube sites. I can't see my ticker. Everything my ticker just decided it don't want to work. However, to subscribe on YouTube by the way of Warrior of Faith 44 on YouTube, and Facebook will be Charles Ross, which is my name, but you will call me Ross. As you look at the on top, you will see welcome to Creative Scales, and this is one of the um, videos production that I'm doing. I have several, so you will see this in a lot of slew of videos that doesn't pertain to creative scales, but a whole lot of things from technology to construction and industries. Uh, it's gonna be five different types of things that will be coming up. But for this particular, we are talking about music. So, musical applications from guitar to music videos, reactions, reviews, musical software, guitar repairs, all of those things, which we'll be covering on both channels. Okay, my credits will is on something else because I had just did a Patreon welcome to people who will come to my Patreon. If you are a patron, you can also look me up under my name, Charles Ross, under the patron, and be a patron supporter for me. I will be appreciate that you help me. Of the basic, it's fairly cheap. For everything you will do, it will be a blessing to help me to bring out quality content that is positive, as well as something will make you laugh. Um, but tonight we just want to just touch base with everyone that seen my videos on Facebook, and I'm now going to put them on YouTube as well. I'm just really saying thank you for all of the responses and reviews, and I will be re-recording the videos that was on Facebook and put them on YouTube, and I will be using the I can't even say it, the OBS software. Now then, since we gone there, oh, here I am. So we'll be talking about a lot of things on this creative scales. We'll be talking about hopefully this, not this week, but hopefully this week we're going to be doing lessons on scales and connecting scales together. There will be one of the main ones that I love the most is the minor pentatonic scale. And the minor pentatonic scale is just simply a 5 note scale from the natural minor scale. So if you take the root, because you got to have somewhere a point to start, and the root, the second of the scale, and the flatted third, fourth, fifth, flatted sixth, flatted seventh, and the octave, and you have the natural minor scale in any key that's pertaining to the minor scale. When you're breaking it down into 5 notes, you have the 5 note scale, which we have from the 19th century, but it's called the minor pentatonic scale. Of the 5 notes, it's going to be a root, flatted third, fourth, fifth, flatted seventh, and octave. That particular scale has been used in a lot of a lot of styles of music in every genre. You have from gospel to blues. If you take the same and add it a flatted fifth, then it becomes the blues scale or the blue note. So we'll be discussing on a lot of that. If you bear with me, I'm going to show you that particular area, and my chat is not working, but you will see when we come up shortly. And plus, I have something else to share with you all. So hold on for 1 second. Sorry about that. We had, like I said, I did a Patreon um, introduction for those who would like to be part of my Patreon, excuse me, and supporting me doing videos for instructions as well as to sharing what I know. With me right now, I have, if you can see it, you ain't gonna be able to see it all. It's going to be the a Les Paul. I made the screen short, so if you can see it, as I mentioned, we'll be doing the natural minor scale along with the 5-note scale, which is the minor pentatonic. So if you want to go from the major scale, then you have to understand, it is the natural minor scale comes from the major scale. It's the sixth degree of any major scale. But when you take the major scale and you take the sixth note of the sixth degree of any major scale and you build your minor scales. So it's like the big cousin, the smaller cousin is related to it because it's within. And if you think it that way, then, but for me, I like to see the minor scale or the natural minor scale. I like to, from that perspective, meaning let's take it from the natural minor scale, and that's going to be a root. Just turn my mic up just a little bit. It's going to be a root, flatted third, fourth, fifth, flatted seventh, octave. I'm doing a natural minor scale. I'm sorry. Make it clear. So I was supposed to do the natural minor scale, but the pentatonic scale is going to be a once again a root, flatted third, fourth, fifth, flatted seventh, octave. But if you take the skeleton and put it back to make it as a seventh note scale, which is the natural minor scale it's going to be a root, second, flatted third, fourth, fifth, flatted sixth, flatted seventh, octave. And there you have it, the natural minor scale and the minor pentatonic. And as mentioned, the natural minor scale has 7 notes repeating itself. Well, its smaller version, its little brother, is a 5 notes being played on the next octave. So it's 3 A's on this particular pattern that every guitarist had learned throughout time. Let's put it that way. Doesn't matter you playing blues, rock, mellow, it doesn't matter. It is that type of scale that's easy to play, it's easy to comprehend. It's just knowing, because any note you can possibly use for the minor pentatonic scale. So let's play this particular scale in its entirety. Just this one pattern, this one box I meant to say. So there we have it. We have that being, we just plucking them so we can understand the how it's being played and how we should play it. It works with power chords, Bob chords, or the chords of the same name as well. It works with major chord or some major chords. The easiest for some guitars, if they got a song, instead of playing a diatonic scale, they'll play a 5-note scale, and they may play something, and we just mess around with it. I can be in A or whatever the key it may be. This is what I like to do. A lot of my soloing and when I was shredding was to take a passing note to get me started, and then I'll start. Oops. Play something like that, and to really see how this pentatonic scale can work for you and be one of the best friends you ever had in playing is for all guitars, whether you beginning, especially for beginner guitars, you got to know this scale, know its scales insides and outs, and being able to play it. Another scale that is actually the same scale, it is the minor blues scale or the blue note. And what makes it the blue note is this. After you play the root, the third, the flatted third that is, because if you look at it and it'll be just a major scale without a flatted note. So it has to be a flatted third. If you look at it from a major perspective, then it'd just be a major with a flatted third, and I refer like it is a minor, and this is how I can interpret this particular scale, which I'm just showing right now, is the minor blues scale in the key of A. That note right there is the flatted third. Is the flatted fifth or flat 5. So here it goes. It'll be a root, flatted third, 4th, flatted 5th, 5th, flatted 7th, octave. So the natural minor scale, you can start off playing your regular format of the patterns, and then come back up and go something like that, and you'll be good to go. Just remember where the flatted note for this particular blues scale is. Once again, is a root, flatted third, 4th, flatted 5th, 5th, flatted 7th, and octave. Let's play this one all the way through. There you go. So you just I usually hear it. I've been playing it. The same thing is true with this blues scale. Same notes, the same, just with the flatted 5th added to it. You can apply this the same way you would do a regular minor pentatonic. Power chords, bar chords, chords with the same letter name. Some of the major scales. Always keep in mind with the dominant chord chord, if you got dominant chords, then you have to adjust this, because in some cases, whatever it is you're trying to create with using the pentatonic scales, make sure you'll be using the right scale pattern as well as the right chord progression for it. Some chord progressions will already tell you what scales you're going to need to use. But if you're used to just using the minor pentatonic, mix it up with major. Let's look at some majors, because the major scale. But for the natural minor scale, I didn't play it all the way through. So let's listen to that, and then we'll go use its big cousin, the major scale. If you can hear from my mic, I'll geek my mic up a little bit. There we go. It'll go. Sorry. Oops. I've learned if you make mistakes, even in teaching or you being a student, I've learned it's okay to make a mistake when practicing and teaching, but when you are asked to perform live, you cannot make a lot of mistakes. You have to be on point. There's no second chances in it. So you got to know what you know. So let's play this over again. And when you do make mistakes, don't accept the mistakes. Constantly better yourself to avoid a lot of mistakes, okay? Let's try this again. That sounds a little better. Now let's deal with the major scale. The major scale is the big broad picture. But actually it's not really a big broad picture. Take a look, listen to this, and I was not really trying to do scales. This was just an introduction of the reboot of creative scales. So I guess we call it creative scale version 2.0. All right, this is the big picture, I call it, and it is, I'll play the notes, but I give you a spoiler alert for it. It's all half steps. If you guess what that is, then you'll know what scale it is. But the way I'm playing it, it's going to be, it's not a full scale. I boxed it so that I use it a lot, even with pentatonics or any scale. I'll just use all four fingers to play it. So it's almost, I learned this through John Petrucci and some other guitarists that use this to practice, to warm up. It's called the chromatic scale. And the chromatic scale simply is this, but I'm doing a small condensed version of it. So if you see me playing it and you hear it, feel free to text me on Facebook or YouTube and say, man, it's not right. This is a partial version of the chromatic scale. So that's all what that is. It's just a condensed version of it. The chromatic scale is one of those eerie type of scales that it's not, if you are not familiar with and you play, it has an endless possibilities It's just having a car without brakes. The same thing is true of the whole note scale and diminished scale. Now let's going back where I was saying the major scale. Major scale is if the chromatic had all the notes of any scale you will possibly will create or is out there. The major scale will be the ruler or the schoolmaster to learn every scale that's out there. Even though it's off of whole steps and half steps and all of those great things, the major scale is simply is one of those is scales that measure every scale. So let's play a C major scale and give you the idea of it. And that isn't entirely, we just want to do the construction of the C major scale. Okay? So at the sixth string, 8th fret, C. So that's the C major scale. So it's a root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and octave. So that is your C major scale. Now let's listen to it in its entirety. The same is true. Take the notes from the C major scale, the 4 diatonic scale. It is a diatonic scale, and break it down into 5 notes, and you will get its smaller, big little brother, which is the major pentatonic. Major pentatonic is this. In the key of C, C major. Made a mistake, I'm sorry. The major pentatonic, as I mentioned, has 5 notes, and to construct this particular scale, is simply you're going to do it's going to be a root, a second, third, fifth, sixth root or octave. Here's a little example, not a big example of the this particular scale. I'm going to mess up a little bit, so I'm getting you heads up, but this will give you an idea what the major pentatonic scale can do. Its nickname is called a country scale because it's got a lot of twang to it. So here's the major pentatonic scale. So that's the major pentatonic scale. That was just played for an example. I'm just using examples or an idea of what is the possibility what you can do with the major scale and the major pentatonic scale. But one thing that you can use them over minor chords, some minor chords, major chords, bar chord, power chord, or chords of the same letter of the note. So if your soloing is in key of A, then or C, then it's going to be in C. Depending on each chord you're going to use, or if you're a chord chaser, then whatever the chords is being played. So if I got let's see, A, F, G, then I got to make sure if I'm a chord chaser, then I have to make sure the right scale fits all three chords. In some cases, you may have more than one, you may have three or five in a chord progression. So the smart thing what Potter will do is know the chord progression and determine which scale you can use them for. The other thing I will share with you all is the combination of both major and minor scale. In one way, I had learned it where you can either start with a major. So you can start with a major and come back to the lowest note for the minor pentatonic or vice versa. There's another way of achieving this, and that is to play what is some people may call it major and minor, a major and minor pentatonic mix or mixed major and minor scale. Is how it's being said it and it is interpreted. Basically, what it's suggesting that you're going to blend both scale patterns as well as the notes. There are certain notes pertaining to the major scale that is not in the minor scale. Even though they share the same notes, but their degree clashes with each other. So you have to determine which sound is sweet enough to play in order to get the right sound, taken from guys like Randy Rhoads, Steve Morse, any of those guitarists from the 80s. They will know how to take those intervals of that scale and work it so that it will sound very good, very tasteful in hearing of the ears. So I'm just going to give you the scale pattern, one scale pattern, and you will get the idea of what I'm trying to convey for you. But by all means, learn every scale pattern that is in the major and minor scale families and learn them, the extended versions of them, as well as the mixture of both major and minor. And not only the major and minor, you have its other family, the modes, where you will know Lydian, Mixolydian. They are major modes, and your minor modes would be Dorian and Phrygian. Aeolian is just simply the natural minor scale taken from the 6th degree, and it's a long story, but it's also a short one because it has so many names. But if you're trying to convey in what you want to play, then it becomes cake because you already know its function, how it functions as a mode or as its own entity. Let's go ahead and do one more thing before we shut it down, and that is playing a big major and minor mix. Okay? And this will be in the key of A. So it will be, well, you'll see how it sounds. But the next time you will see this, it will be all 5 notes. I'm not sorry, all 5 patterns along with more explanation And if I'm not able, and this is one good thing about me, I never say I was the expert, the God sent man, but from what I had experienced and can interpret in the way I play, I can. It's important to really know it, and even if you don't know it, you got somebody else who does know it, and people from YouTube, and usually going on YouTube, you see a lot of folks flashing, and that's good. I'm not saying that it's bad because that's me at times, but to really teach it and explain it out of step by step, or give them enough to understand it and to apply it, and then you can see the very benefits where they can reap and become a good guitarist, or even reintroduce themselves, the guitars they were before, become a better guitarist, if you understand what I'm saying. So here's the mix, major and minor, pentatonic in the key of A. Actually, it's not in the key of A. It's in B. It's actually in C. So we go 3 frets higher. I'm sorry, 3 frets lower, and it'll sound like this. And there we have it. And that is the mixed major and minor pentatonic scales. I hope this this is just an introduction of all of the ideas which you will see on Creative Scales, the upgrade version of it. Before I leave, I have one more scale, even though it's a pentatonic, hair, not digging up my nose. But it's a pentatonic scale, 5 notes, but it is a more of a Far East scale. It is called a Japanese scale, and this is what I love about it. It has its own story to tell. When it's applied properly, it can be two things. It can be brutal and it can be sad at the same time. But if you don't know anything about major and minor scales right now, always remember this. The major scale is bright and happy. It's like SpongeBob. The minor scale is moody. It may start off happy, but just on a dime, a drop of a dime, it's ready to fight you. It's moody. It's like a Gemini. You mess with a Gemini, you're going to get beat up. You're not just going to get beat up. You're going to have your whole body laid to rest. Well, that's how the minor pentatonic is. It's a very moody scale, but just consider that. Major, happy, minor, moody. But this Japanese scale is in that same line. It's a substitute for your pentatonic scales. So let's give you the idea of it. And any corrections, hit me on Facebook, hit me on YouTube. If it's not on one or the other, please let me know, and I will have that redone as soon as possible. Let's get to the Japanese scale, okay? And it sounds like this. This, I love it. I mean, I even the so where the Japanese will take and how they played it, the ladies will play a sad, twangy sound. I'm like, what in the world? And years later, I started to really try to understand. Want to be this flashy guitars out there, be the next Hendrix, the next Tony McPine. A lot of these African American shredders that's out there playing hard rock and metal, but it was hard for me to really understand scales back then because I wasn't applying myself. And after a lot of hitting my head to the wall, I finally realized apply it. And then once I applied, I became a better guitarist versus back in the day. But this time it's more teachable to be able to learn it while teaching and also being able to learn from others as well. So this Japanese scale is a root, as mostly everything we start off. You got to have a base, a home base. So a root, flat is second. You have a fourth, fifth, of course. Flat is seven, octave. Now, when I was studying this particular scale, wrong note. This sounded more like a 5-note scale if you take the notes that associate with the natural minor scale, but it's the third degree of any major scale, and it's called the Fitzgerald mode, or in this particular example, we will call it the Fitzgerald scale. It's not a true. It is a minor scale, but it's not a true minor scale because it doesn't start on the 6th degree of any major scale. It's on the 3rd degree. It's the 3rd note of the 3rd degree of any major scale. So yes, it is a minor. Technically, it is a minor scale, just like Dorian. But if you take the notes that pertain to the Fitzgerald scale, this scale pattern I just played sound the same. And I went like, wow. But if you have any questions and comments about it or corrections, I don't mind the correction as long as it's right and it is positive in which I can study or look for more information in which I can do an update version of this so that I want everything right to be able to teach and be able to play it properly. This same scale suggests that you can use the bass note, use the bass in a way to really give out this particular scale to be played. It'll work good on your chord progressions, but the problem will be is that flattest second will change it. So that means your chord progression, your scale, the Japanese scale, will have to fit properly with your chord progression. So it's good. I seen it. Well, I played it on drop D. So if you're doing a drop D, a riff or lead, some solo in your soloing, use it. But I love it. I think it is the ultimate substitute for the minor and major pentatonic. Primarily more for the minor pentatonic. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that. some trial and error, but it's okay. This is the first, and it'll be the first as far as understanding everything. When I mean by everything, it's a lesson in which I'm learning, even though I am still producing this, primarily to be able to teach and also to support not only myself but support other guitarists. My goal is to teach and help from beginners, intermediate players, those who really have no experience in playing guitar, to get them in a level so they will know their formula, they will know the scale, they will know now patterns. It you can create a pattern, so I'm not worrying about the patterns per se. And usually me and patterns, I'm like, and that was another hurdle I had to learn. Because think about it, you have 22 to 24 frets on a guitar. And if you know your formula of constructing any scale, you can create a 4 or a 5 note example. You don't have to play all the notes on there. You can play some or a little or just not a lot. But the idea is what's in here. And what's in here determines the outcome of your playing. So always experiment and learn more. All right? Hey, this is Ross. I am back again. Before I leave, I got three, let me put myself right in the camera, three things for you to help me out with. The main goal of this video was to show you three projects I'm building, and actually one of them will come first. There's only two of them I'm going to build along with another guitar, but it's only two of them. But only one I'm asking which one I should build, and here are your three, okay? The first one. The first one is an Ibanez Gio, or it's spelled Gio, but with the modifications, the name is taken off. It just have Ibanez. It's a 7-string guitar, and what we're going to do is rebuild it. Put in pickups. I'm not certain which pickups I want to use, but I know that the rewiring, adding for the two pickups, the neck and the bridge, along with one volume, one tone selector switch, and a bridge, and of course be able to not hold your guitar while playing, but you have a strap right there around the guitar so you can shred and show off. The second contender to this is Ibanez, the same family. This is also a 7-string guitar. The same issues, some damages, but this is look like it's walnut laminated, but it's a brown. From what I was told, this is a brown finish, a matte finish. Your binding, it should be bone binding around the front part of the body. Your neck between 23 to 24 frets. The same issue. The third contender, look at this. I like this Ibanez. This Ibanez is a two-tone. You have your white or bone binding around the front part of the body. You have blue and black tones, or it's a black and blue burst, I should say. I'm sorry. Same frets, same setup, and there you have it. So you have these three guitars. Hit me up on Facebook under my name, Charles Ross, or get me on YouTube with my screen name in my channel, which is Warrior of Faith. It's one word, Warrior of Faith. That will be Warrior, OFFAITH 44. Again, Warrior of Faith 44. And that will be on my YouTube channel. And just say in the comments, hey Ross, I like guitar 1 or guitar 2 or guitar 3. When this is aired, I will give you my answer of one of those guitars. I already know which one it is because it's been requests of a customer that I'm building it for. So it's going to be a good rebuild. And while the guitar is being rebuilt, I will take you through pictures or a live stream of it, step by step, of the rebuild of the guitar. There's one more thing to address you all, but the questions and comments, hit me up for the Facebook viewers. Get me on Facebook Messenger. I'm Ross. As always, if it sounds good, whatever. Or actually, if it sounds good, play it. And if it doesn't sound good, whatever, let music play for you and that you play for music. Again, I can strongly suggest you have to practice. Practice, practice, and practice. Even though you can practice and still make a mistake, but if you practice and being true to yourself, at the end of the day, you can become the best guitarist you can ever be as you prioritize your time. Don't rush it. Don't rush it, but take your time studying and knowing your craft, knowing your instrument inside and out. When we come back again, I promise we will do, this is just an introduction of the restart of Creative Scales, and we will do some more until. But until then, God bless you. And if you know me, peace. And just before we go again, as a reminder, on my other Facebook and YouTube, these are the things that I deal with on different subjects, but it will be recorded through BSE Multimedia, which is my company. Also, keep in mind that not each day, every Saturday, Friday and Saturday will be a new video that will be aired on YouTube and Facebook. Again, See you. God bless you. And peace.